Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today we've got to talk about this absolutely crazy situation that just happened in Texas. Basically, 40 years ago, a couple was found in the woods, game ended, and their baby was missing. No one knew where the baby was, and it was assumed that whoever had hurt the parents, took the baby. Well, they ended up finding her 40 years later. She just ended up being identified and notified of who her parents actually were. She's a mother of 5, but I just thought it was insane that after 40 years they found her, so let's talk about it. A baby who went missing after her parents' death over 40 years ago is found alive. This had to have been one of those cases where basically everyone involved had ever given up on getting it solved. I mean, 40 years is an insanely long time. You add the fact that it was a baby. You just kind of have to accept that if they did survive, you're probably never going to see or meet them again. Just to 40 years later finally get a little bit of closure, it's absolutely bonkers. But what's more bonkers is apparently this girl was taken by some weird vegetarian cult thing. I could not believe that this was real when I first read it. A baby who disappeared after her parents were found dead in the early 80s is alive and well. Baby Holly's deceased parents were discovered in the woods in Houston in 1981. In 2021, the bodies were identified as Tina Gail Lynn Klaus and Harold Dean Klaus Jr., but their baby, Holly, is now 42 and an Oklahoma mother of 5 and was not found with them at the time. Obviously, it's tragic that this situation had to transpire. It's awful that her parents met that fate. But imagine being Holly in this situation. You probably don't remember it. You were a little baby. It's not like you can remember most things from when you're that little. You've been living like a relatively normal life. You've got 5 kids, you've been to college, you got a job, you got the whole shebang. Just to find out that your entire existence is predated on you being kidnapped from your parents who went missing 40 years ago, that's gotta be a huge reality shift. One day you're like, oh yeah, I'm Holly, I was raised here, here, and here, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, you're just a missing person that they stumbled upon 40 years later. I don't know if it's something to do with genetic testing, I'm not quite sure how they ended up figuring out that this was the daughter. I'm gonna assume a genetic match of some kind, but I just couldn't imagine being in that situation, finding out 42 years into life that everything you know about the foundation of your life is a lie, and on top of it, your parents were taken away in a tragic situation. That's gotta change your perspective on life a little bit. Holly has been notified about the identities of her biological parents and has connected with her extended family, according to a news release Thursday from the Texas Attorney General. It was so exciting to see Holly. Cheryl Klaus, Holly's aunt, said in a statement, "I was so happy to meet her for the first time, and it was such a blessing to be reassured that she's all right and had a good life, and the whole family slept well last night." This entire situation is awful, but I'm sure the family has at least a little bit of closure from this. They still don't know who did it. That's the ultimate closure, but finding out that your niece has been alive and managed to have a good life, I'm not surprised that they ended up sleeping well that night. During a press conference Thursday, Brent Webster, first Attorney General of Texas, told reporters about the ongoing investigation. While we rejoice that Holly has been found and families that were looking for her decades rejoice, we're still looking for suspects in this case. Finding the kid is a huge bonus, but you want to find out who is responsible for taking her parents away from her in the first place and kidnapping the baby. But this is where it starts to take an even more bizarre turn. It's already crazy, it's already a very sad situation, but apparently the people that were involved in this are part of a nomadic religious group, aka cult type of situation, very strong Charles Manson vibes emanating from what was explained. And when the Texas Attorney General starts coming out and talking about it, there has to be at least a little bit of salt to it, considering their investigation led to finding the daughter of the family. They probably know a thing or two about what's going on. Webster said 2 women who were members of a nomadic religious group brought Holly to a church in Arizona. Webster did not include details about what happened to Holly after she was left at the church. The woman who left Holly at the church wore white robes and were barefoot, Webster told reporters. They indicated the beliefs of their religion included the separation of male and female members, practicing vegetarian habits, and not using or wearing leather goods. The group is believed to have traveled to Arizona, California, and possibly Texas, Webster said. In the early 1980s, members of the group were seen in Yuma, Arizona, asking for food. So many more questions than answers. Like I said, I'm sure being reunited with your family is great. The family knowing that their niece is out there alive is great, but like now it's even more confusing. Because you're telling me there were some shoeless people just taking kids around who had been kidnapped from their parents, who were no longer with us, and they were just chilling, asking for food and dropping kids off in random places. What type of group was this? This sounds absolutely nuts. It doesn't even sound like something that would be real. It sounds like something you would see in like a CSI episode and go, well, that's unrealistic. No way could some group just be rolling around talking about how we don't wear leather goods, man, with kidnapped kids. Like, that would be nearly impossible. Apparently not, because they're out there looking for them. I just want to know how they came into possession of the child after this entire situation. Was it a matter of finding her wandering around the woods after her parents met their end, or was it a situation where the cult's responsible? The entire situation's just crazy. Around late December 1980 or early January 1981, the families of Holly's parents received a call from someone who identified herself as Sister Susan. Sister Susan said she was calling from LA and wanted to return the family's car because the couple was joining their group and giving up all their possessions. She also said the couple no longer wanted to have contact with their families. The family contacted local authorities and agreed to meet Sister Susan at the Daytona racetrack in Florida. The family said they met 2 or 3 women and possibly a man, and the women were wearing robes and appeared to be members of the religious group. Well, they need to find Sister Susan in this group, because I'm just saying, they find the couple in the woods in 81, and then all of a sudden they don't want their car, they join this group, they never want to talk to their family again, and they're giving up all their possessions. Oh, and the kid's missing. Good luck. I'm just saying, either this cult got into a very bizarre situation, or somehow they're responsible. Either way, they've got to answer for what happened. This entire situation is crazy, and I'm sure red flags were going off for the family, but back in the 70s, 80s, there really was no way to track somebody down. If somebody just didn't want to talk to you and wanted to go start a life across the country, it's not like there was a convenient way to track them down and message them on Facebook or something. I don't know. Obviously, they talk to authorities, but I'm sure tracking down a group of nomadic people that are begging for food in a different state every 3 weeks, isn't easy, especially in the 80s. I'm glad Holly got reunited with her family, but the fact that there's just some cult out there that might have been evolved roaming around is terrifying. The last thing I want is another one of these situations going on. Webster said police took the women into custody but have no records that have been identified in connection with the incident. Webster said it wasn't unusual given the age of the case. The families last heard from the couple in October 1980, and Webster urged people to come forward with any information. The members of Holly's extended family are relieved Holly has been found. I believe Tina's finally resting in peace knowing Holly is reuniting with her family, said Sherry Lynn Green, Holly's aunt. I personally am so relieved to know Holly is alive and well and cared for, but also torn up by it all. That baby was her life. I just think it's incredible that they were able to find Holly and reunite her with her family. Tragic what happened. Obviously, if this could have all been avoided, that'd be the ideal situation, and I'm sure the family's got to feel a little bit conflicted, simply because the people that did this are still out there, and there's a lot more question than answers, if anything, right now, I believe. Just some mysterious group that's been roaming around. I don't know. I am glad Holly was able to be reunited with her family, and it is tragic what happened, but I just thought this entire case was crazy. I wanted to make a video about it because, at least to me, it's not every day that you hear about some cult that might be roaming around, stealing people's cars, game-ending them in the woods, and then kidnapping their kid. I hope that's not something that's going on every day. If that is, I'm glad I've been keeping my head buried in the sand because I don't want to be scared of that too. But I do hope that they're able to figure out what happened. They definitely need to talk to this group of people. There's so many red flags popping up about, oh no, we just happened to come into possession of the car and the kid. No reason. They just never want to talk to you again. I'm optimistic they will. The only thing that is going to be unfortunate is this was a very long time ago. Tracking stuff down from 40 years ago is difficult. And it's even a possibility that some of the people were involved just aren't here anymore. Like, that's a long time for people to just be cruising around, especially if they were already middle-aged. they could be reaching 80, 90 years old at this point if they were involved. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. If you thought this situation and story was crazy, I'd appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And if you like these types of videos, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. I try to post twice a day, every day. So if you like consistent content, subscribe and turn on those notifications. But yeah, on that note, guys, that'll do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm out. Peace.